GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday, the 6th of January, and let's jump straight into the Bitcoin charts. Obviously, the first week of the new year, the first full week of the new year, that traders are likely to be back at their desks after the holidays. So I'm expecting volume probably to pick up later on. Obviously, we are, at the time this video goes out, probably about half an hour away from the US market open. As we can see, Bitcoin on the daily then is having a fairly decent day today, and we are pushing into this resistance here. So obviously this was resistance, this level that we're coming into, which is around about 99,500, resistance at the end of November, resistance towards the end of December as well, Christmas Day, and resistance currently. So what I really want to see to get more confident in this rally, that we are actually going to continue on and not see this pullback that I've been calling for over the first week of January, is for a close above this high here, coming in around about this. Well, current price is around about 99,500. Call it 100,000. If we can get a daily close above 100,000 today and maintain that, then I will be fairly confident that we then come up, we challenge 102,000, and look, if we can close above there, get above this 618, this golden pocket, then I think we will be well on our way to higher prices throughout the course of January. So pretty big couple of days here for Bitcoin to see what we do at this level. Obviously, a rejection, I think, likely takes us down to around 94,000, 95,000. Potentially coming down as low as 93 would be okay. What we can do here is we can draw on a Fibonacci retracement from the current low to high and just look at where that comes in. And obviously a move down into this golden pocket here, I think, will probably be the most likely. If we were to start to reject from here, maybe we get some selling at today's open and we come down to around about 94,500. Obviously, we could go as low as 93 as a 786, but I'd probably like to see this 618 hold, and then for us to get a bounce, taking out 100k, taking out 102,000, and going onwards and upwards from there. So let's see how we go over the rest of today, but certainly Bitcoin is looking fairly strong here. And if I just go over to the current liquidation levels, then we can see that Bitcoin is getting a lot of liquidity stacked just above price here. This is coming in at just above 100,000. So 100,000, a fairly key level. And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't the market makers want to run us up through 100,000? Everybody starts to get quite excited, only for us then to get sent back down to around sort of 94 and a half, 95,000, potentially, just to kind of shake out any longs getting too excited here, and for us to then come and catch the liquidity on the downside here, because obviously a move down to 94 or 95 is going to take all of this out as well. So potentially that could be a little bit of a, should we say, a bit of a trap scenario. One scenario that we could see at some point today could be a flush through that liquidity. I think what is important really is to see how Bitcoin reacts around this 100,000 level. Do we wick through and come back below? That would obviously, in the short term, be quite a bearish price movement, or bearish price action. But if we are able to close above and get on up towards 102,000, then I'll be fairly confident, certainly if we close around there, that we're likely potentially to come back down and retest 100k for a final time before pushing on higher. And this dip all the way down as low as 94, 95,000 would actually be off the table potentially. So let's see what happens with this over the next day. Interestingly, just going over to X and looking at some analysis here from Eric Crown. Obviously, I've talked about sort of Eric Crown before on the channel and the analysis that he does. He does some great analysis when it comes to days of the month that the market typically likes to bottom, Bitcoin likes to bottom, or what it's actually done, shall we say, historically, when the historic lows have come in for Bitcoin. We can see here, obviously, he's highlighted these are the halving years. Obviously, right now we're post-halving year. So what we really want to do is we want to look at the post-halving year, which would be 2013, 2017, 2021. And we can see that historically, the low for the price of Bitcoin has come in early on in the month. Here it came in on the 1st. Here was the 12th. Here was the 4th. So we can see if we take an average of that, it's coming in over the first few days of the month. We can actually see the years he's highlighted. So he's actually got whether the weekly trend is up and down. If we just look up or down, if we look at when the weekly trend is up, we can see coming in within the first 1 to 2 days here. Here it's coming a little bit late in 2016, 17, 12 days. But back here, when the weekly trend is up, we did come in the third day, the fourth day, the first day. Last year we came in on the 23rd day. But there is obviously a pattern here of when we are up, the average is coming in around about 7.5 days. Obviously, we're on the 6th today. So I think it's fairly likely to think that potentially the low for January has already come in, and that would put it coming in on the 1st. So I wouldn't be expecting price to go any lower than this low, which is obviously down around about 92,000. And it's interesting to me how bearish everybody was getting down here. People were calling for, mid 80s. A lot of people were calling for a CME gap fill, which is all the way down at sort of 70, I think it's around about 78, 79,000. We can actually just check where the CME gap is, and it's actually coming down 77,000. So people looking for moves down to 77,000. People were also calling for moves potentially lower, potentially down to sort of 73. And we've just seen since then just the market completely take off. And obviously, I've spoken about the January effect. I've spoken about the fact that investors typically will look to sell assets going into the end of the year to rebuy back in January. So we're probably seeing a bit of that. I did say potentially we might go as low as 86, 87,000, reconnecting with this 100-day moving average. But for me, the market is looking fairly strong here, and we just have to trade what's in front of us. Bitcoin creeping back up to this 99,500 level again. So let's see if today we can actually get that move higher in Bitcoin. And without a doubt, I do believe that will give the entire crypto sector a decent lift. Certainly, if we can get above this 102,000 level, I think we really will be back fully, and we are likely to experience a very bullish January and possibly most likely a very, very bullish Q1 for the entire crypto space, which I do think is the most likely scenario. So that's Bitcoin covered. Let's go over to Ethereum, and we can see that Ethereum is still performing fairly well. Another sort of new high today based on where we have been over the last couple of months. So Ethereum starting to make its way back up. We've said that the next target, if we could get above the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, would be this 618 coming in around about 3,720, and a close above there should take us back up to 3,820, which is obviously really the top of this range where we were holding below this descending diagonal. So I do think Ethereum has what it takes here to push on a little bit more. Obviously, if Bitcoin does reject around 100,000, I would expect Ethereum to likely come back down, maybe down to this sort of 3,500 level, maybe a little bit lower, but probably not too much lower than that. And obviously, this would put in a higher low on Ethereum for Ethereum then to challenge this descending trend line once again. And I do believe the next time we close above this descending trend line, we'll have a pretty much a free run up to the yearly highs and likely take out those yearly highs on Ethereum. So Ethereum's still looking good to me. Ethereum still is my favorite trade right now in the crypto space, certainly in terms of the majors. It's my largest position, and any dips I think will likely be good buying opportunities for Ethereum over the next few weeks. So Ethereum looking strong. Just looking at Solana. Solana having another go at this 50-day moving average. So let's see whether Solana can take this out. and start to obviously push on sort of more so to the upside here. Obviously, I think Solana is currently benefiting from some of the narratives going around AI agents. A lot of the AI agent tokens are actually on Solana, so it looks like it's another sort of a bit like the meme coin effect. We saw this great network effect when everyone was jumping into Solana, obviously buying Solana to obviously purchase meme coins. I think we're likely seeing the same thing, demand coming in for AI agent investments to the Solana chain, which is obviously great for the Solana price. And I do think Solana will continue to outperform this cycle. I don't really see any change in that, and I think it's a matter of time before Solana makes it back to its prior all-time highs again around 260, and then takes off higher from there. So obviously we have talked about Solana having this breakout, starting to push on. If we look at some sort of retracement levels, well, obviously at the next one, so 0.5 level around about 220, obviously a big level. And from there, we've got probably a fairly clear run up into the golden pocket around 230. And I really want to see Solana back above $235 for us to go sort of full bullish. So those are the levels to watch on Solana. Obviously, any dips back down to below 210, believe between 200 and 210, I think will likely get bid and are probably good areas to add more Solana. Those are the areas I'm looking at anyway to add to Solana positions. And Pepe also just doing its thing, consolidating, really looking for Pepe to make its way back to its all-time highs with the rest of the market. Really, I don't think there's too much sort of specific to say about Pepe here. Obviously, it's got back above its 50-day moving average, so that is encouraging to see for Pepe. It's now back above all of its moving averages, and I do expect Pepe to trend on higher with the rest of the market over the next few weeks. It is my most high conviction meme coin pick. I think it is the big pick for this cycle, as I've spoken about many times before. So obviously any dips on Pepe back towards sort of the 1900 level, I think would be good long opportunities on Pepe. And yeah, really, the big sort of idea or the the main action over this month is just really looking to buy on dips. I mean, obviously not financial advice, but that's what I'm looking to do in anticipation of that expansion phase. Obviously, we talked about Bitcoin dominance starting to come down, ticking back up a little bit now, but we've talked about that being likely to happen. It's probably not going to be straight down until Ethereum really breaks out from its descending trend line and gets back above 4,000. I think it will probably be more of a steady decline. Obviously, maybe a bit of a pop up if Bitcoin does break out, but then rotation, I think we'll really see into the altcoins probably towards the end of this month, going into January, March. I expect altcoins really to outperform and for Bitcoin dominance to come down. And just to give some perspective again to what we've already looked at, but just looking at the yearly, let's hide the drawings, just looking at Bitcoin dominance in terms of like a yearly view, we can see we usually have a massive red candle followed by three green candles, another big red candle, three green candles. Are we going to get another big red candle in the final year of the crypto bull market, which is when we usually see altcoins outperform? So really looking at things like Ethereum, Solana, looking to get heavily invested into some other altcoins. Obviously, this is pretty much our roadmap for doing that. And yes, I do think that over the next quarter, we will really start to see altcoins outperform. And I expect this to come down throughout this year, really. So that is really what we're leaning on right now in terms of doing that or making those decisions to accumulate altcoins. Just looking at the dollar, then dollar selling off today. So it looks like we are getting that reaction from the 618, which we have also talked about. We've talked about potentially the dollar sort of coming up and finding resistance at one of these levels, most likely the 618 or the 786. So interesting to see if the dollar was to close here or lower at the end of this week, obviously this would be a bearish engulfing candle. So obviously a long way in this week still to go. We are on Monday, but yeah, quite a significant move in the dollar today. So let's see if we can actually sort of maintain this down move in the DXY, and obviously that would be likely a positive sign for our crypto assets coming right on cue, right at the start of 2025. What more could we ask for to kick off the new year? And we can see here the stock markets today starting to push up a little bit. So a decent morning for stocks. Obviously, we talked about the reversal at the end of last week to create that sort of bullish hammer candle. Obviously, S&P coming down, hitting its 20-day moving 20-week moving average, so we say, and starting to see reaction and a bounce. Obviously, the Nasdaq starting off the week also green, seen similar price action with that bounce. And we did say over the weekend that what we want to see from the Nasdaq is for it to take out this descending trend line. This will likely mean that the Nasdaq accelerates to its recent all-time highs, and I think goes on to make new all-time highs, which would obviously be good for crypto. Obviously, positive correlation still exists, so money going into risk assets, DXY starting to come off, stock market starting to tick up, Bitcoin getting back towards 100,000. So far, so good for 2025. And let's see where we go for the rest of the day. So I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, I'll be back tomorrow with another update. If you have enjoyed the content, please do like, subscribe if you're not done so already. And I'll talk to you all on the next one. GM.